So today, like I mentioned, we are going to break down the world record or world first speed run by Progress. It's not really necessarily a speed run, but kind of by all means. They're about an hour faster than anyone else I've seen. So they've crushed it if other than anyone else first day, but I think they have pretty significant time lead. Mainly the big window, like we predicted, was Saffron. If people had world buffs on Saf, they had the chance to one-shot it. If you didn't have world buffs, it is a lot sketchier. You need a lot more frost resistance, and you also then, there's two real issues there, right? You have less HP, you need more frost res, so you're using less DPS gear, and you're also less DPS from just in general having world buffs. So Saffron was the big differentiator. If guilds got to Saf with world buffs, they had a significantly smoother time, but this was the hardest boss in the raid like we expected. Kelt the Zod pretty much was significantly easy. I would say significantly easier than Saf like we expected. Phase 2 of KT can be a little scary. Phase 1 is really a simple, very simple, like rinse and repeat. Four Horsemen messed up quite a few guilds, including Onslaught, unfortunately. And at the time, Onslaught was potentially at the same level or even potentially ahead of Progress because they only had one wing left, and Progress did as well, but Progress had a longer wing. So at the time, Onslaught may have been in the lead as well. Rise during the world first race was very close, we could say. Unfortunately, both of those guilds had earlier wipes, and then Apes kind of came out of nowhere with starting out with Patchwork and literally actually almost full wiping. They lost, what, 18 people on Patchwork, and then still performing extremely well overall through the raid. So we are going to break down all of this for you guys today. Before I get into it, I do want to mention I'm probably going to upload this video to YouTube. I'm gonna upload this video to YouTube because I missed a YouTube video this week, basically because I have been playing a ton of Shadowlands, and I think everyone who watches Twitch or anything really knows that all of their favorite content creators or streamers are probably playing a ton of Shadowlands right now, and you're probably experiencing a lot of your guild actually struggling with people because they're playing a lot of Shadowlands. It's actually a lot better of an expansion that most of us expected, so that's been a little tough with Blizzard launching Naxx at the same time. Other than that, I do want to mention one more thing, or a couple more things. Obviously, we're going to use Tetsu's POV, so make sure to check out Tetsu on YouTube, or also on also on Twitch. And then yesterday, or when the run actually happened, we did a race to world first coverage. Look at that, already 51K views. We did race to world first coverage with some incredible people. We had Duranosaur, who runs a lot of the big speedrun scene for 5-man dungeons, which is insane. Alive, who is the #1 warlock in the world, at least he was for phase 5 and almost most of the phases before that. He's also in Progress and actually subbed out of this world record run, or world first run, specifically to be in the breakdown with us. We had Meldron, who is one of the best content creators in all of World of Warcraft, not even just Classic, and of course Kargaz, who just absolutely dominates, especially the hardcore scene. So if anyone wants to watch that, we did a ton of pre-game like breakdowns and what our expectations were. My prediction was actually a 57-minute run or an hour and 30. I was like, it's either 57 minutes, barely sub an hour, or it's an hour and 30. And that's what my prediction was. And it was an hour and 22, maybe an hour and 21 for the official time. But if anyone wants to see that, we broke down the whole race to world first while switching between a bunch of different views. And a couple items I want to point out before we hop into everything. One thing extremely useful is pretty much these are going to be items that you get once in the game from random quests throughout the game, and all of the people that played private servers or people that skipped the quest have just been saving these items either for this race to world first or for their big speed run. But ideally, it would probably be for this Race to World First. It had more importance for a lot of guilds. I would say if any of the guilds wiped, they would save these items. But the first one is the Moist Towelette, and you only get 10 of these on each character, ever. And this will remove one negative spell effect from the user. It can be very useful. A big place would be like removing curses, but also on Saffron, which is also a curse, is a really good one. To remove your curse on Saf yourself instead of relying on mages, because 1 second of the tick going off just heals the boss, and it does a ton of damage, and you're taking a ton of damage already. You can get 11 total. Oh, okay, you can get one more than that. You can get 11 total. So that's it though. That's all you got. That's all you have. And then we have Slumber Sand, which is pretty much putting a target to sleep for 20 seconds. And it's pretty much the same thing as Magic Dust. It's basically used in the KT encounter when there is people being mind controlled on Kel'Thuzad, so that you can instantly sleep the mind controlled targets, or like a rogue would blind them, so then your mages could get a sheep off. And the fear of the mind control target can like one-shot you. So you need to get these off instantly. So these are being used as well. And then we have the Bag of Marbles is another good one. If there's any other on-use items or crazy items that I'm forgetting about, let me know, guys. Then I will bring them up. But just before I get into it, these are the ones I want to talk about. And this one will decrease the target's chance to hit by 25% for 10 seconds. Really useful on a couple different bosses. Most speedrun guilds will probably not use it on Patchwork, but you could use it on Patchwork. So it could be used on Patchwork. Another great place is on Myexna, where 30 seconds into the fight, she actually stuns every single person, including the tank, for 25 seconds. Yeah, you could also get the, from Strat. Okay, perfect. So for 10 seconds, everyone will be stunned, and you don't want to put a ton of hots on your tank, or else you're going to knock off their buffs. Instead, you could have a tank shield wall, and you could actually use this on the boss, where it decreases her chance to hit the tank by 25%. And from Strat UD, well, the Banshee is another item that you could actually just farm on repeat. It's like a weaker version, right? It's just a weaker version of it, but it also can be used. I don't think any of the guilds going for the world first used Wail of the Banshee, because it's just 15% less avoidance. And boom, past that, we'll start really quickly by breaking down just a couple things in the logs that are pretty incredible. Gnome Boy, which, here we go. Gnome Boy did a ton of damage. Huge. Tetsu, and we're gonna watch Tetsu's POV, was the second highest damage in this raid. He actually subs out for Saf and for KT, going to a healer, which is something that we predicted beforehand, but almost every guild doing this subbed out some of their melee DPS to either go caster DPS or heals for the latter half, or even just Saf KT fights, because you need a lot of heals. A lot of damage goes out. As you can see, the Frost Aura from Saf was almost the most damage dealing ability in the entire raid, other than the Aura of Agony, which can be an AoE curse. But melee is all of the melee hits throughout the entire raid. And then Frost Aura, look at how much damage it did. Almost 2 million damage was done just there, which is kind of crazy. Yeah, it does work on every boss. It does have a chance to be resisted. The Wail of the Banshee and Bag of Marbles does have a chance to be resisted, but I think it's a really low % chance. And then some mages are gonna pop off in this raid as well. Progress just genuinely dominated this. They were tied almost until the end, around probably 50-ish minutes. They were pretty much tied in the race to world first, potentially even slightly behind Onslaught, but Onslaught wiped on 4 Horsemen. And Progress does do one massive skip that we will watch, and they actually had a few more skips planned, but decided to go for the safer route and pull all of the trash. And the reason that that was a huge, really good play for them. They could have had a shorter time, say 10 minutes shorter total. They just, who wants to risk that? Once they knew that they were in the lead, it was 100% their fight to lose. So just to get into Naxx itself, and we can see these items up here, also Masterwork Target Dummy right there, and Flask of Petrification, which another thing we should actually look at really fast. This is one of the most useful items in the game, and Warcraft Logs, as we all probably know, it's actually under P. Warcraft Logs, as we all probably know, has the like questionnaire to see if it should be banned, but Gnome Boy used 6 of these. A huge point where these are going to be used really is going to be Saf, if people are trying to min-max their DPS on Sarfarion and Sapphiron, whatever. And if they don't think they're going to make it to an ice block in time, you can Petri Flask and it'll save you. So we're actually going to see quite a few people do that. Yeah, Apes Petri Flask usage was actually, here, wait, give me a second, guys. I have a count of Petri Flasks. So look at this from the world top 17. There we go. This is a count of all of the flasks. It's a little blurry, but this is a count of all of the flasks. Apes Petri Flask, 139. 139 Petri Flasks. Gussie, 91. Onslaught, 50. But Onslaught, look at the wisdom. And it's actually pretty insane that Senseless did this well with only 5 wisdoms used, which is less than everybody ahead of them. Onslaught will have to spam wisdoms because of being Horde. Horde has the disadvantage of, it's not really a full disadvantage, just Paladins have much better mana management than Shamans. And yeah, that's actually kind of insane, the number that Apes used. And then they also, these Titans Flasks aren't the real numbers, because every time you Petri, you lose your flask, so you have to reflask with your Titans, which doesn't record in the logs if it's out of combat. So that's not something we're going to see here in the numbers. And moving on, let's get right into the run. So a lot of guilds opted to start with the Abomination Wing first. A big reason for the A-Bomb Wing being first, or a useful reason, is you have all of your buffs on Patchwork, so you can make sure you kill Patchwork fast. It's like a semi-long fight. Even with all of the buffs, it's actually a really long fight. This entire wing itself is a long wing, so having your 1 hour buffs for longer is very useful, but Patchwork can be scary where if you don't have buffs, he could potentially one-shot someone. Also, they're going or planning, Apes was planning to use, or Progress was planning to use some riskier plays later. And riskier plays can potentially, obviously, have people get killed. If you lose people, then they lose their world buffs. So you want to go for those riskier plays a little bit later, where you almost have a certainty of losing someone. So get as much done as you can early. They also, as we should note, have 46 minutes on Darkmoon Faire instead of a lot of guilds has full 2 hours on Darkmoon Fairs. A lot of guilds have full 2 hours on Darkmoon Faire, but Progress ran a last AQ speedrun and got world number 3 because of Salad Baker's retaking. They got world number 3, and which I would say is totally worth it. They got world number 3, and then they put up the world fastest time. Apes went for Patchwork first too, but did not have a very smooth time. It is a Patchwork I would say is an potentially intimidating fight. For the sake of, if things go wrong, it can snowball. If things go wrong, it can absolutely snowball, and all of a sudden your rogues are evasion tanking, and it's just terrifying. But I'm trying to decide if I want to double speed through most of the trash. I probably will, to keep this a decent pace. Right here, There's nothing too scary in these rooms. You're gonna notice that these A-bombs are basically split up. They're focusing down the green ones for the most part, or keeping Tetsu as a secondary tank ready on this one. Here they have, from their composition, they have multiple casters, 2 warlocks, 4 mages, and they've got 2 hunters, so they can just all stay away from these. Tetsu's gonna run up and use like a Stratholme Holy Water right there, which Stratholme Holy Water, if you don't know by now, is one of the best consumes for this raid, especially because it has a 1-to-1 spell power coefficient. So for every spell power you have, it will get another. Here, they're actually gonna butt pull this mob, which is not the first time that Progress butt pulls a mob. They actually accidentally pull quite a few mobs that they didn't mean to, but they just deal with it very cleanly. Next, I'm gonna go back to normal speed, and you will notice there's a couple different differences that happened here. All of these sludge belchers, Onslaught actually grouped all of them up and pulled them first, killed all of them at once. Progress is going for the normal group pulls. They are going to hard focus one target and blow it up before it can do anything, and that is the Living Monstrosity. Now, the Living Monstrosity has to die fast because as it was casting right there, the Lightning Totem is just a ton of AoE damage for the raid. So ideally, if there's nothing else that's really scary in these pulls, ideally in a world where you didn't have those lightning or those monstrosities, you could chain pull these really fast. But for now, we're playing it safe. This is the world first run. And also, if you end up doing chain pulls or big pulls here, you're gonna need to hard focus those down really, really fast before you pull the next thing. So for now, they're just moving at a very, very solid pace all the way throughout. Ah, that golem pulls with the boss. If that's the golem that came to the apes pull. That's the golem that came to the apes pull. When we were watching apes, I was wondering how a golem got pulled all the way because they were fighting the boss so far up. Makes sense. And again, these pulls are pretty simple. Once you get one down, it's pretty much rinse and repeat. But again, they just need to focus that monstrosity, and then they can pretty much AoE things down. There's a lot of mages here, which you'll notice do a lot of damage, but there's 2 main reasons to bring this many mages early on. There's a couple fights where mages will absolutely destroy. Kenny Marsh pops off. ABN destroys. Thaddeus. On Thaddeus mages, if you have good luck, good RNG, and you don't need to move too much and everybody gets their ignites rolling, you can do Unreal DPS, which we will see later. And then also for Lotheb, mages can pump on Lotheb, although the warriors do kind of catch up on Lotheb in this fight. Onslaught also had ads show up on Patchwork. Onslaught's Patchwork was all the way ahead. So here's Patchwork coming in. I'm going to go to half normal time first. You can see a lot of the DPS and more of them are going to dip into this pool, which reduces their health pool by half, and they are not going to receive heals. Mainly so that they don't get hit by the Hateful Strike. Patchwork only has 2 real abilities. One, he hits like a truck, so he hits super hard, and then he will randomly choose someone, not really randomly, it's kind of scuffed. I don't know if they fixed it, but on the PTR it was a little scuffed. But out of the top 4 people on the, other than the tank, the top 3 other than the tank, on the threat pool, he will choose the one with the highest HP and hit them with a Hateful Strike. On the PTR, it seemed like he was sort of randomly picking someone. So, did they fix that? Someone mentioned a blue post, but I didn't see it myself. And I'm going to speed this up to double time because this fight is, like I mentioned, guys, a really long fight. Look how slow Patchwork is going down. And the DPS is there. ABN's pumping at 1.6. He didn't have to wait at all. All of the melee waited for the first few seconds so that they weren't going to pull aggro. Basically, you just want to stay below on threat. As you can see, that 4 people are up there way above everyone else. And if you get hit by the Hateful Strike, you do get extra threat. So it's actually good for the off tanks themselves. And the mages are just pumping. Oh, Hungering Cold. Hungering Cold absolutely is, on Alliance side, is 100% a warrior weapon, unfortunately. Although, for rogues, it is almost as good. Oh. In some guilds, even in this World First race, we saw people afraid of the Frogger. That Frogger is so slow. And we saw people afraid of the Frogger, and they actually had to use their paladins to bubble and take the Frogger. The scariest deaths there would be if someone is near the pally that bubbles and runs through the little Frogger mob and then kills someone. I don't think it happened for any of the World First Race guilds, but that is the scariest thing that could happen there. After you jump through here, everyone's pretty much at half health. They're going to heal up and then pull these next mobs. Let me go back to full screen. Yeah, Classic Frogger is literally a joke. It's so slow paced. These Stitch Spewers are fully stunnable, by the way, which we found out on the PTR, which I'm sure Progress tested all of these like a million times, but pretty much everyone tested these out. Even in my pug runs that I did with viewers, we tested out making sure that things were stunnable, what was sheepable, everything like that. So this is a very easy pull, although they pull Thaddeus with back to normal speed. They pulled these through, which they're just going to focus on killing the spewers first. The rogues are just going to try to stun as often as possible, and the tank has already picked up the boss. There's no real fear here, and that's actually almost better. Sorry, I said Thad, but it's Grob. Thad's not for a while. Not that long. So they are going to pump through Grob, keep moving him around. And Grob's actually a pretty easy boss also. Grob Gluth, this wing was very easy for every guild. We didn't see any guilds really struggle in this wing. It was actually, interestingly enough, some guilds were struggling in the Spider Quarter and Military Quarter, 4 Horsemen, which was kind of anticipated but not expected because you could take it safe instead of just rushing, which is going to be really interesting to watch. Progress's 4 Horsemen was beautiful. Like, absolutely beautiful. So now is going to be the scariest boss of the run. Just don't fall. And like we see in AQ, almost always somebody falls running up to Viscidus. It's so easy not to fall here, but if someone does, you're never going to really live it down. Gluth is pretty simple. You can actually watch Exploit's health. He doesn't hit nearly as hard as anticipated. I'm pretty sure on the Lightbringer PTR or private server, he hit significantly harder, but he goes down super fast. The kiters, I wonder if, does anyone have one of the mages POVs? The kiters are moving around, but Gluth goes down like it's absolutely nothing, and they move on to Thaddeus. Some guilds lost people, or not lost people, but some people failed on Thaddeus, which we actually expected, and it is so funny to see. It is always so funny to see someone. As you can see this little ledge right here, all you need to do is jump. I guess as a rogue, you could even sprint, or you could use a swiftest pot, but that'd be wasting your potion CD. But all you need to do is jump. So Progress destroying the DPS, killing the adds like it's nothing, and jumps. Let's see if anyone fails. Nobody failed. And then right there, you can see the sides that they're using. Minus on the left, plus on the right. They're just basically going to reapply buffs while they wait for Thaddeus, start DPSing, just getting behind him. The fear that some guilds do, and some guilds that are a little inexperienced will do, is you'll start DPSing right away, standing right here, And then when Thaddeus goes and uses any abilities, he'll face the raid, and you will just parry batch so hard. He'll get parry haste. And you have like a full second to move over, almost 3 seconds to move over before you actually get your stacks. And this is where we're going to see some mages taking over. Some mages are going to absolutely dominate here. Mages can just do incredible damage. So Kenny Marsh is now pulling ahead. Everyone in this raid is going to have just a crazy 100 because those ignites are shared. But Tetsu has to switch over as Thaddeus does his polarity shift. Ideally, if you were that mage, if you were any of the mages, ideally you never have to shift for polarity shift so that you can just keep pumping and keep the ignite up. Kenny Marsh is at 4.4k DPS and Weasel's 2.3. Again, in the logs, the ignites are all shared, which any mage that's ever upset that they didn't get the ignite, it's just everyone's damage. We're all free here. And then one thing I want to mention, I guess we're just going to see it right now. Don't all take the portal. Spread out so you can drop stacks and you can end your actually polarity shift. Just spread out. Some people even have to spread out by running through the poison water. Everyone should kind of know their spot, ideally. But right here, inexperienced guilds are literally going to kill themselves. Our inexperienced guilds are all going to kill Thaddeus and then all group up trying to loot the boss, and then everybody's going to die. So just take it slow. Take it for 1 second, and you'll be fine. It's not intimidating. Just once you kill the boss, you're chilling. That's a really simple boss, and it'll be interesting to see if any people struggle with the dance. But the polarity shift is not really an intimidating ability. On these pulls, they're just going to focus down the big Death Knights really quickly. They're pretty much going to one pull everything. In the military quarter, we saw Onslaught go for a really big invisibility pot skip, which we'll probably see in the future from Progress. We were tabbed on onto Onslaught, I think, at this point, so we did not watch it yet. So we're gonna see. Progress has a couple skips up their sleeve. One that saves a ton of time, but is also crazy scary. And that's the one we're gonna break down. Tyrannosaur in the chat, dude. There we go. There's the homie that we broke this down with. Everyone, make sure you go follow Tyrannosaur, by the way, guys. Absolutely incredible. Dude, casting with you was a ton of fun, by the way. Also, quick mention, which I don't even need to go back. You guys saw that Shade come in with the AoE Frost or AoE Shadow Bolt. Here's the skip, just like I mentioned. Yep, perfect. They do the skip. This whole entire upper floor. And we can just go back so that we can see here. They're going to pull in the Shade. Everyone switches to focus target. There, I went all the way back. They're killing the captain. Move on to the next pull. And they're going to pull in the Shade. Everyone switches focus targets. And then they're going to go for their invisibility pot skip. This skip saves a ton of time. And it is beautiful. But this is not the only invis skip that can be used. There's actually multiple. A big one in the Arachnid quarter that they do not utilize, like I mentioned earlier, because at that time they had won the race pretty much. Like, they just won. Everyone else had wiped that was in the race. It was very, very well done of them. So invis pots, the entire raid invis pots, using the 18-second invis potions and moving quickly. Not everybody even needed to use any swiftness items too, or speed items. So it looks like you can just run that without even using any speed items. They are conscious of anyone behind them. And then now they're going to pull this entire room. I'll go back to full screen. Yeah, Tyrannosaur was like, I think everybody's going to wipe on trash. None of us on the panel really expected people to wipe on bosses other than potentially Saf. And some of the interesting bosses people got screwed over on. Patchwork messed up apes. Rise struggled on Myexna. A couple guilds struggled on Myexna, which the Spider Wing's quote-unquote supposed to be the loot pinata wing. It's not 100% that way. And a lot of guilds struggled on Four Horsemen, which is known as one of the harder fights, but it's not terrifying if you just take it safe. Tetsu Salad Baker. Oh my god. Okay, yeah, okay, Salad Bakers. Oh my god. So there's the legend, the man, the myth himself, Tetsu. Salad Baker's run was... I actually didn't see what happened to Dream State, but did Dream State die before even getting in? Salad Baker's run was over at the very beginning. As Alive, who was casting with us when we were watching the World First race, said that the Obsidian Eradicator is the hardest pull in all of AQ, which I'm sure everyone watching has seen Progress die to the first pull of AQ on their speed run. Salad Bakers did it. And I wish I saw that. The chat had to be, not the chat, like we're not going to be like no toxicity, but like just the faces of the players had to be, oh. I actually haven't seen it yet, so I don't know what happened. Resuvius, another pretty much tank and spank fight for, not really tank and spank because your priests are tanking, but here, actually, this is something I wanted to ask you, Tetsu. We actually couldn't hear comms, but from the other POV, we were watching the Hunter POV. Everyone ends up LOSing all the way here on the corner. And I think, or we were guessing that people were trying to LOS just by a small little LOS of Resuvius and still getting hit by the mana burn and dying. So, what we'll see is people are going to LOS all the way on the corner. So Resuvius is tanked right here. The mob can be healed. The mob that's tanking Resuvius, a new priest MCs the next one, moves in, gets the taunt off. Everyone does a hard LOS, which is, it's such a small detail, a little bit further than you would expect to move, which would cut down a tiny bit of time, but Enigma's dies too. So just playing it safe. Yeah, I love that, because like I mentioned at the very beginning when I started breaking this down, Progress has the clean run, and that is what sets them apart massively. And that was really, like, if anyone watched any of the None of the Above speedruns for AQ, their like whole mentality was just don't die. And that literally made the difference between any of the world record guilds in AQ. It legitimately was how many deaths were there and how early they were. And right now is really early to lose people. 2 warriors down, 1 mage. We'll see if there are swaps. Almost every raider, I would anticipate, has a character outside that they can swap in. And like I mentioned, we will see Tetsu move over and actually swap off of the human male to a healer later. Still put up number 2 damage overall, which is commendable, which is very impressive. Nothing was wrong with the timer, Cloud Bells. It's a window after the timer expires, yeah. Oh yeah, DBM, yeah. Kenny with some of the highest DPS ever, oh my god. That Thaddeus was fun to watch. So this little section right back there, the weapons is kind of the only time that you really could see. The AQ fishing meta was so lame. I think everyone can agree that the AQ fishing meta was so lame, but the weapons section is the only place you could really see people fishing for a better ID, but it's not really that intimidating. If you have world buffs, it's not intimidating. And obviously for the world first run, you have no time to actually fish. Now, this fight is extremely simple, a lot easier than PTRs. All you need to do is kill the mobs and wait for phase 2. As you kill the living, they will move over to the undead, and you just don't want to overrun the undead side because it's slightly harder. Most guilds shouldn't see issues with this fight. Also, when the boss eventually comes down, as we'll see, because we can skip through, it's kind of like KT phase 1. So we're almost there, 1 minute from phase 2. Look at the timer, it's just so time gated. When the boss comes down, it just gets deleted. Like, it's not even scary. Gothic the Harvester is honestly one of those fights that I think is sort of a loot pinata. Just be cautious of how many people or how many mobs are over on the undead side so that you don't overrun them. But if you have world buffs, I don't think anyone's gonna fear this fight. And the gates should open with literally 20% left on the boss. Done. Progress is dumpstering here, and there are more sections where they could do invis-pot skips. I didn't see when it was that they do the crazy skip. If people don't know, which most people don't, and I didn't even know, the wings are actually connected, and Progress figured out a way, which we will see, to, like this, swim to another wing to save time. But it is terrifying. The HP of everyone in the raid is terrifying. You can do it in retail right now. Okay, so that you can test it out and figure it out. Joining the old version of the game, or the Wrath of the Lich King version. The gargoyles are pretty easy to deal with. They do that AoE, but honestly, it doesn't hurt too bad as it stacks up. You can dodge other ones if you need to, and they do heal themselves if you don't kill them in time, but if you have world buffs, like, there's nothing you need to worry about there. All of these pulls, when you're pulling acolytes like that, you're just going to LOS pull them hiding in the corner, wait for this pat to leave, and move on. There's a lot of trash skipping you can see as we're noticing. Grab the Spirit of Naxxramas and try to LOS a little bit so we can move this acolyte there. Perfect, and on to Four Horsemen. This, we will go to normal speed. This is the first boss that really wrecked people. That's wrong. Like I mentioned earlier, some people died like on their first patchwork or even on the first trash pull. This was the first, I would say, hard boss, where you really need to play it clean. Every single person in the raid, I don't know if it's all 40, but they get all the sappers off while all 4 of the bosses are stacked up before they get any of the auras from any of them. So all 4 of those bosses took sappers from everybody. That's just a really clean extra damage output. And then they're going to burn through Thane. They're actually going to burn Thane. But they don't have their casters on Thane. On some of the runs, like even Onslaughts, I believe, they actually had their casters on Thane as well. But Progress does not have their casters on Thane. And as you can see, the meteor is coming in. That's basically a meteor. The same mechanic as any meteor in World of Warcraft. If you guys spread out, you're going to die. They kill Thane before even getting a 3rd aura tick, which is amazing. And they're going to pretty much do the same thing on Morgraine. They're going to pump through Morgraine. And then once you kill Morgraine, it's from there, it's your fight to lose. It's your fight to wipe. Just take it slow. The scariest boss in this encounter is the White Knight, who does basically a sort of chain lightning mechanic, and each time it skips, it does more damage. It's a holy fire, a chain holy fire, and that's why it's intimidating putting melee on that boss. It's the boss in this corner right there. Zelik, that is the scariest boss. So you can see that they have 4 stacks from the auras from both of these back bosses, or from at least from Morgraine. The bosses, once they die, will just leave ghost versions of themselves. But right here, all you need to do, if you want to win this clean, just take it slow. And we saw some guilds in the Race to World First go for sending a bunch of melee in to Zaliek, and it not going well, especially because a chain Holy Fire went out while they were running to the boss, therefore getting kind of destroyed. So some guilds also opted to bring multiple warlocks in for this, so that they could just run around, dot everything as they were getting stacks. So they just get like 2 stacks off of every boss, dot it all and move around. This is the boss that's intimidating. If your entire raid decides to run in there, you are screwed, and you will die, and you will wipe, and you just had it. So as long as Zaliek gets killed in a clean manner, it's pretty much a boss of waiting and being cautious. If you can do that, it'll be clean. And this was a very clean 4 horsemen from Progress. Very, very clean 4 horsemen from Progress. I feel like, Tetsu, you wanted to go in for an execute right there. You're like, I could do it. It's just 1 more stack. I could do it. But look at most of the raids just waiting for Zaliek to die. And this is, yeah, the smile, dude, yeah. And this is, I believe, where they're going to do the big skip. Everyone running back, instead of taking the portal like they would have normally, instead of taking the portal, they're waiting to make sure that they can dodge these pats. Boom. End up pulling that, which isn't intimidating. I did mention earlier that there's a couple times where Onslaught, or where Progress actually does pull things that they don't mean to, but they deal with it always. They deal with it in this raid so cleanly, and we're actually just gonna even watch it in normal pace. They deal with it so calm and clean. If they accidentally pull something extra, everyone reacts. A warrior picks it up instantly. A off tank or a tank will pick it up right after if they're out of position, not out of position, but we're moving forward, and they will blow it up. Progress played this run unbelievably well. Unbelievably well. And this skip is, I think, the scariest thing they did, but obviously it's the biggest big brain pull that they do. But it is super scary because when they do get there, and you guys will see it in a second, they actually have pretty bad padding of the ghouls in front of them, which if they would have pulled, people would have instantly died because they're so low on health. So we'll watch that as they get there. So we'll skip up. Here it is. Actually, we're not even going to double time. And as you can see in the chat, this is when Apes doesn't wipe, but dies to patchwork, I guess, for the most part. Actually, that should have been way earlier. Look at that, guys. And now they have to wait. Look at this padding. Now they have to wait, and they are taking a ton of damage. Questionably, I would have thought you might just have everybody Petri. I wonder if people did. This is all on the healers, so keep watching the health pools here, guys. I'm going to stop moving my cursor so you can see if this goes away. The health pools here are so intimidating. Look at this, and it's just going to keep going, and it's just going to keep going. It's pretty much everyone taking going to half health. It's pretty much everyone jumping up and going straight to half health, but this shade gets pulled. And that shadow bolt, that's the fear, is the shadow bolt. That AoE shadow bolt can one-shot people when their health is gone. You have, like, so there's 2 people down, 3 people down. Kenny got killed there too. Yeah, Kenny got killed there too. Ostrax got really, really low. I don't know what the best play is right there afterwards, like everybody health pot or something. I guess if Kenny and Yanni and Pixie were really fast. They could have petried, but that's like not an easy thing to pull off. But that skip was massive. That skip was so nuts. And I'm actually curious, do you know how much time that saves? Now they're instantly on Noth, guys. How much? Every guild is going to do this, by the way, moving forward. Every single guild speedrunning is going to do that moving forward. And there's a couple more skips that can be done. Quite a few more skips that can be done, especially with invisibility pots, potentially with Petri Flask pulling things into a different corner. Yeah. How poorly executed the skip was. We netted 0 time saved. Damn. Mainly because you had to sit there for quite a while. But even then, it was one of the most entertaining things that could have possibly happened. Noth the Plaguebringer does have a mechanic where he blinks and drops aggro. Not a scary mechanic at all. And then he also has a mechanic where Yanni probably just used a Petri right there. And then he has a mechanic where he goes away and then you have to like phase 2. You're almost never going to see phase 2 in a speedrun. Like, I don't think any of the guilds got to the phase 2. It's actually would be a huge time loss if you got there, because you can't kill the boss at that. I compared times versus Gussie. We arrived at Noth pretty much the same time. A big difference is that Gussie petried every gargoyle debuff off though. I had that up early. Whoa, I can pull it up again. Here, I had this. Look at this, Tetsu. I'm sure you guys have already seen it. I'm sure you guys have already seen this. But these are the petrifications. Petriing off the gargoyle debuff does save time. I think that's smart. They could also then pull many more gargoyles at once. If they have to. But you're skipping the second pet group of gargoyle most of the time. Progresses, Petries, a lot of them were Gnome Boy. As we looked before at the logs, Apes is just like, we're going. Like, we'll do it. We'll Petri everything. But Gussie with 91 also is a crazy high amount of Petries. The clip of Metas trash talking Petri meta. I actually haven't seen that. Do you have it? Casual. There, if you have it, you can post it. Yeah, a lot of the flasks don't get counted. A lot of the Titans flasks, because everyone's back to Titans flasks even. So right now at this point, Gussie's are on around the same pace. Onslaught was doing pretty well until they wiped. They pretty much swapped out a lot of their raid after their wipe. And then Rise, I think, has fallen by now also. I'm not sure, but by the time that Progress does get to Spider, it is clear that everyone else has fallen. So by the time that Progress hits Spiderwing, everyone is done. Now, moving on, Noth or Hagen, this is just the safety dance. Really simple fight. I would be surprised if people ever fail to this fight. Early on, people that haven't seen it the first time are gonna fail, but as you saw the poison just coming out of the ground, all you need to do is just move into the different quarters. There's actually technically, I don't know if I should spoil it, but you might not have to do the safety dance. We will see in future speedruns. Tetsu gets TP'd. That's just like, the game is griefing your parse. That just happens. There's nothing you can do there. I think Rise was alive and was 2 bosses behind Progress and Spider. But but Rise fell to the Faralina trash, and I don't think they went for the big Faralina trash, which is something that Progress doesn't do also. I'm pretty sure there's a clip running around Reddit somewhere. Here, Cloudbells, let me give you I'm pretty sure there's a clip running around Reddit somewhere of Progress pulling off that pull. And then if you're out here, it can be scary to move in there, and Hagen was just gonna die. So there's no need to even go in and risk dying, especially if the dance was in a scary position. You can see that he used a shadow protection pot. You're not gonna see Diamond Flask sets for the most part. We'll see, but the actual ability doesn't come out till later. Diamond Flask is just useful because it's such a long fight, but the ability that you take damage from doesn't even come out till later. So it wouldn't work using a Diamond Flask other than your tank. Your tank absolutely can use a Diamond Flask. Which, does your guys' tank use a Diamond Flask set before pulling this? It just saves extra healing. Like, does Wind Force use a tank Diamond Flask set? And then the first Spore. Warriors are going towards the first Spore. Kill the Spore, get an incredible amount of crit. Now you get to pump. Not sure if you had bad space. That makes sense, actually. That makes a lot of sense, actually. One of the things that we're going to see at the end, because we tabbed over to this during the coverage of the Racer World first, there's going to be one Spore up at the end of this that, I think this was the run that we saw of it. Tetsu's going to grab. Really useful because you continue having the buff for later and you can't pull threat. So if you have the buff, you have insane amount of crit, almost 100% crit, and you cannot build any threat. So you can see Wind Force just has, no one could even get literally close to him. Tetsu and Kenny are right up there on each other. Progress does have 4 mages, but even with a big ignite, unless you get a crazy ignite, I don't think, here, let me re-permit Mirror 10. I think that should work, Mirror 10. Even with a big ignite, Warriors just do so much damage, especially once you get to execute phase. So Loatheb, still a decently long fight. Okay, so it's not in this. I think it was, maybe it was Dali doing it. 2 mages had died. Oh, yeah. All right, let's see. Okay. This is not a grief by us playing this, by the way, guys. No shade being thrown. But we are going to see. What did May talk about?
We're going to get 25 Petri Flask, 200 Distilled Wisdom, need to have Human Melee. Okay, just full stack, Dunce Dynamite. Okay, here we go. Mechanic 1, Petri, Petri again, and Petri, Titans, Petri, Wisdom, Petri, times Petri. Oh, I went like this from PTR, Petri again. Oh, Petri, 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 Petri. Shut the fuck up.
It kind of is. I mean, it's unfortunate to say that it's the meta. It is unfortunate to say. I think there's almost a consensus. What do you guys think? Everyone here, especially in a speedrunning guild, like everyone in Progress and stuff, about the limitations of Petries. It's just unfortunate that you can Petri off every ability. Like, it's smart, and you have to do it eventually when you're going for a crazy number. Like, when you're gonna go for a crazy world record pace, you're gonna kind of have to. You can see that one person at least already is swapping out. We're gonna notice multiple swaps later. Pretty happy with it. We've always been really low on flask usage in our speedruns. Yeah, I think if you could limit it, it'd be so helpful. I think if you could limit it, it would be amazing. Spiderwing, word to the wise. Spiderwing can be a little intimidating for people, mainly because the trash moves around pretty quickly and you can chain pull really fast, and if you're not prepared for that, let's just say you can wipe. So at least early on in these world first runs, you want to hard target the green, the big spider first, and then you can deal with everything else you're not scared of. But be aware of chain pulling, or not even chain pulling, just double pulling. It's a lot scarier when you're first getting in there on the live client because you don't know exactly how much you can limit test or how much you can pump. Anubricon, another fight that's like probably one of the easiest fights in here. I don't think any guild with world buffs is going to see the scarier mechanics of this fight where you have to kite the boss. They're just keeping the crypt guards stacked right on the boss, cleaving them down. The warriors are destroying it. I think some of the guilds actually used recklessness on this fight. Where was your first Drek? I didn't notice. Yeah, you could probably invis past. There's actually a few invis. Okay, so Spiderwing has many areas where you can invis. There's a couple things that Progress can do, and they've done, and we're planning to do, that could save time. And by now, like I mentioned earlier, by now, they've won. Like, unless they fuck up, they've won. That's it. By now, it's done. Like, the race is pretty much over unless they mess up. So instead of going for the riskier skips, instead of going for the riskier pulls, like the Faralina, the giant Faralina pull, instead of going for those, Progress takes it easy, pulls pretty much everything, right? I guess Rise was in this quarter, and Rise wiped to the Faralina trash. You can see Progress even going back and pulling the pulls or the trash behind just to be safe beforehand. And like I mentioned, you can only as Alliance. I don't know if there's a way at all as Horde to pull this whole room and then bubble in Arcane Bomb, destroy it. As Alliance, though, you have Paladins, which have Bubble. You can also use Petri Flasks, but target dummies don't really help. You need to get the Arcane Bombs off. I don't know if Horde has the opportunity. And before doing the run, Alive mentioned that Progress was probably planning on doing this. And if timing worked with them being head-to-head or slightly behind, we probably would have seen that. And that's also why, as I'll go to normal speed, that's also why, one of the reasons why they're doing this quarter last. Instead of doing something like 4 Horsemen last, or even Thaddeus last, where you could have people log out while you have to wait there AFK for no reason, because this is one of the riskier things that they were going to go for. Also, 4 Horsemen last wouldn't have worked out so well because of the skip they were going for. Arcane Bomb definitely doesn't work. Did they not pull off? I'm pretty sure that I thought they pulled this off on the PTR. So somebody confirm or deny. Did they just kill it fast enough? This is just a very risky room to full pull. Like, terribly risky. Boom, Cotton. Pause. Not a bug list. Do not affect Naxxramas Cultists on Naxxramas Acolytes. Similar effects or immunities do not prevent Myxna's web spray. We tested this on the PTR also, which I think this was good. This was good. Like, at least something can't be petried off. Also, that was, you couldn't Petri on 4 Horsemen. At least from what I remember in our PTR. Read closer. And similar effects or immunities may not prevent. They work if you use it while she is cast. Oh, What? Wait. Yeah. But if you use it before the cast, it does not prevent the web spray ability. Canceling the flask effect will still leave you stunned. Not sure if we should message... If we should message this one is because it tells players how to do the encounter? Question mark? Oh my god, you can Petri Flask it. They work if you use it while she's casting web spray. That's kind of amazing and unfortunate again. Here on Fairlina, I was surprised that some people struggled as much as they did, but Progress is pretty much has no fear of this boss. They cleave down the ads, leave up those worshippers back there. Oh. Where am I? There we go. Don't even worry about it, guys. I did that on purpose. Fairlina can do it in basically like Enrage. We've got mind controls. Priests actually finally have like one of the cooler things to do in this raid. I would say Naxx is one of the raids where everybody finally has like real individual responsibility. When you get to my XNet, okay. And here post Fairlina, there's again more places that you can skip with invis pots, but also potentially with Petries. I don't know, but definitely with invis pots. What do you mean, priests were the king of fishing in AQ? Oh my god, dude. Fair, okay. Tested out every possible way to get out of the web spray on the PTR. So we knew it was a thing? Okay. Yeah, I would anticipate any of these guilds going for this race other than potentially Apes, because I mean, they might have PTR'd, but they don't private anything. But you would have just tested out PTRs. That was a really clean, fast pull. That is another thing, like I mentioned, of them just... I don't know if it was butt pulled, but that's a pull that they didn't need to deal with. But potentially because of the padding of everything up here, they're just like, just grab it. And they're like, just kill the gargoyle. Imagine not having a private PTR. I think they have one. 140 Petries per runner kick. Yeah, pretty much if you're not all using Petri, I think you need to get out. It's just, I think it would be, and I think everyone agrees, it would be nice to not have to do those to compete, even though a lot of guilds, like, as Tetsu's mentioning, like, Progress doesn't mass flask either. It's just, I think it's, takes away from some of the uniqueness of some encounters. That's pretty much like a safe pull. Skipping that right there is like easily doable, but okay. So we're gonna watch my XNet close. All right. Get logged on and instant raid. Should I do it? All right. Wait. All right. Give me 1 second, guys. But also, here's my face. Oh, what's up, guys? Look, I need to shave really badly, but my trimmer broke, and I ordered a new one. And I don't want you guys to know where I'm logged off to get into this raid. And it hasn't come in like 6 days. What are you doing, Amazon? Who has raid invite right now? Who has raid invite? Oh, scaring me, bro. What is this? It's like, who has the raid invite? Oh my god. All right, guys, we're fine. We're gonna get into the raid, and let me get summoned really fast. Do you want to know where I was? Do you guys want to know where I was? I'm even gonna just show it. Beard looks good. Oh, thank you. Where was I? I was up on top. I'm not even going to get some. I'm just going to run there. I was on top of this mushroom. Now let's hope nobody's here to grief me. Oh my god. Oh my god, a rogue just came, dude. A rogue just came, dude. Oh my god. A rogue just came and vanished, dude. A rogue just came and vanished. Alright. There we go. And we're back. I just wanted to be risky. I was like, you know what, dude? Nobody on my server does any of that. Wasn't worth it. Well, it was. We did it. We pulled it off. Alright, my Exna. Just vanish the web spray like a boss. Again, definitely interesting that people struggled with my Exna as much as they did. Some guilds really dying. Someone's on the wall, so let's see. Spiderlings coming up in a second. Spiderling sapper down instantly, and here's the web spray. Paladin did it at least. Wait a second. All the rogues failed to vanish, dude. All the rogues failed to vanish. All right. Two paladins. Easy. Easy game. Keep exploits up. Nobody else has to use them. 3 paladins did it? Okay. There we go. And it's done. That is a lot better than 40 people using Petries. Although I guess technically you could output a little more damage if 40 people Petried. Was there a Kiss of the Spider there? And here it is. This is where Tetsu is going to log over, like I mentioned, to a healer. A lot of people are going to probably log out. Xander logs out. I always fuck this up. Fienzi locks out, goes to a Warlock. Xander goes to a Mage. A couple people go to healers, so you don't need as much melee DPS for Saf and for KT. There's no real point. So we can look in here. Big old go balls deep, the boy. And yeah, Xander here on the Warlock, Mages, and running 13 healers. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. 14 healers. The Frost Aura. Yeah, you don't need that many melee. Source Salvatore. It was a kiss. It was a kiss. Who got the kiss? So, Saf, you want more healers. And Alliance, again, sort of have an advantage here because this is like a massive heal-intensive fight. But, like, Paladins are so good with mana. Paladins are so good with mana. Like, amazing. No Warchi's Blessing? Yeah, he doesn't... You know Warchi's Blessing, Tetsu? Are you trying... Dude, the amount that Tetsu gets targeted for Warchi's Blessing is some of the craziest stuff I've ever seen. But it does make for really entertaining videos. I'm not going to lie. But, yeah. The human male gets hard targeted. One person down to potentially a melee, or was it a cleave? Can't see exactly. It was a cleave. That's so terrifying. Over aggro into a cleave. Could have just wrecked everyone. That's so terrifying. So if anyone doesn't know, a couple of the things from Saf that are important to do. One, let your tank get aggro initially, because if you pull aggro and you cleave and chain and murder every one of your melee or everyone in your raid, you're screwing yourselves. And two, a lot of people, this is where you'll see some Petries. Rogues can banish this ability and Petri Flask if you don't think you're going to get to position in time, or if you want to keep DPSing, really. It's like super like an expensive way to min-max. Tetsu's spending so much time not healing. Look at his mana. He's chilling so hard on mana. And this boss does so much damage. The Frost Aura does so much damage. Tetsu doesn't have a Juju up, a Juju Frost up, but I think almost everyone else does. Healers need less Frost resistance than pretty much everyone else. Healers need less. Casters are probably around 100 to 150 alive set unbuffed, 100 to like 130 base unbuffed, and melee DPS slightly higher than that unbuffed. And if you wiped, like this was like the huge differentiator. Guilds that wiped struggled so hard on Saf, and it set them back by a lot of time. It set them back by a lot of time. And that's because you need, one, a lot more Frost Res. Two, you have a lot less DPS. Three, you have a lot less heals. So like you're using more Frost Res gear, which is scuffing you because we don't have the Nax Frost Res gear yet. And you're just doing a lot less damage. So getting to Saf world buffed is like huge. The Onslaught 40 Distilled Wisdom strat, I was mentioning that earlier. Alliance have the, look at Tetsu's mana. Like, there's Alliance have this. It doesn't need exposed. Yeah, just go mage. Just swap to your mage. You don't need exposed armor. Although, why didn't you have one of the other rogues swap to the mage? Oh my god, do you get the 100 on this? That would actually make sense, because you're the only people with world buffs. Oh, you got killed. The mages are pumping. No expose, though. But that doesn't... I mean, it's small at this point. Everyone staying alive is all that matters. By now, Progress has won. It's, like, done. Like... The fight is over. The race is over. Progress has this in the bag as long as they don't wipe here. And this is like, you tune over to Tetsu's stream when this is live, there's like 30,000 people watching this right now because everyone knows it's about to happen. Do any rogues go to Vanish here, or is everyone like, just keep it safe? Chat, don't trash talk anyone, guys. Oh my gosh. Merten could probably like out DPS 99% of every, well, obviously 99.9% of everyone in the world that plays this game, and do the mechanics perfectly. But you have like more of like a personal experience, so I'll let you trash talk, but not everyone else. Yeah. This just, and look at, like, the one death that happened was early on that almost screwed everything, in all honesty. Yeah, that could have been quite... Claw of the Frostworm. Amazing drop. Absolutely amazing drop. And only one death. Beautiful. Is it Claw trash? Claw of the Frostworm is one of the best items in the game, and easily one of the best PvP offhands, especially for Rogue. It's really good for normal DPS, but in PvP, oh. It's itemized, yeah, it's itemized so good. You got it? Oh. How happy were you? Like, it's itemized so good. Everyone's popping another Juju of Frost, probably. That was the call for the new Juju. Phase 1 of Cthulhu is honestly, like I mentioned earlier, just so easy. It's so much easier than the PTR or the private servers, especially even the PTR or private server that Progress was practicing on. Because I'm pretty sure of Cthulhu, yeah, of KT. I'm pretty sure you guys were using the Light's Hope or Lightbringer. Oh look, I said something. World first. But yeah, literally phase 1 is a joke. Like, these mobs have what, exactly 50k HP? They die so easily. There's nothing really to fear here unless you have a hunter aim shot or multi-shot. So just don't do that and pull an entire wing and you'll be fine. And this is Thunder Fury chain, but like, how are you gonna Thunder Fury chain that far? Did you guys? I don't see any Thunder Furies out, but is it just to be safe? How would it chain that far? Have you done strat UD with the Thunder Fury? Yes, that chains everything, yeah. But things are a lot further. But I mean, to be safe, might as well be safe. Yeah, literally no reason to throw. Now it's, at this point, it's purely play it safe. You've won. Let's see. They get to phase 2 with some mobs or trash sort of left alive. They clean some stuff up and Cthulhu is pulled. Not Cthulhu, Kel'Thuzad, shish kebabs. We've spent way too long and also not long enough at the same time in AQ40. Cloudbells, yes, you can link a clip. Here, give me 1 second. Permit. Actually, Falcon, just permit Cloudbells, please. Kick rotations on Cthulhu. The cast of his single target Frostbolt is so slow. If he gets a cast off, I would be very shocked in any of the good runs. You can see the sleep here on Windforce, really fast sleep. Gnome Boy has yet to be CC'd, but that is the Slumber Sand and Magic Dust, like we mentioned earlier, or I pulled up earlier. You just gotta get those sleeps out really fast so that everyone can get sheeped. You can get scared. Oh, it's so scary if these guys kill you. Okay, let's see. Okay. Oh, it's afterwards, right? It's the nerd screens after. Okay, I'll play this as Kel'Thuzad goes down. Oh my gosh. I'm still stuck in that phase apparently. I apologize, guys. But early on, KT, not an intimidating fight. It is yet to be too scary as long as you can control the mind controls. The hard part is when the ads are spawned and there's mind controls going out. Then you just need to be really organized, really. Again, I would still say this is a less scary fight than Saf. With world buffs, you're fine, but like without world buffs, Saf is just a scary fight. Blaze Blitz, thank you very much, man. Rip KT, right? The sleeps and the ice blocks. Another reason why, as you're seeing, obviously the melee are all split up into 4 separate groups, spread around the boss, and they're at max melee range so that they don't chain ice block everyone and ruin them. The AoE Frostbolt doesn't do that much damage. That was 3,300. It's not intimidating to heal up the raid to full. The hard part is towards the end as everybody kind of gets it. And then run out of Shadow Fissure. Because it'll one-shot you. Even if you have full world buffs and 3,000 extra health, and flasks. Yeah. And here's the ads. Ice blocks, shackles, things are going to get picked up. The first ad and the set of... Like, this is where the fight can get a little bit intimidating, right? It's just dealing with everything, making sure you have the right amount of shackles up. So you don't want to like break all of the shackles by trying to shackle everything. But I'm sure that in Progress or in any of the big raids, they have a certain number of priests that are allowed to shackle in general, right? Like, you can't just let, oh, you're the first one near it, you can shackle. That would be a little sketchy unless you just call it out in Discord, which is actually pretty easy. And the boss is almost dead. And the nerd screams coming up, dude. And Cthulhu is down. And Cthulhu is down. Now let's go to the nerd screams. Let's see. Let me bring this up. Frozone, thank you for the grats on the 7K followers and the raid. Welcome, bro.
More damage. More damage.
They're ready for it.
Oh. Just pump the fucking boss by slightly.
Wait, actually, don't
Oh my god,
I lowered it to save your ears. Cthulhu and KT both down. Progress getting the consistently performing phenomenally. And they had less uptime of Darkmoon Faire than everybody else. A whole hour and 15 minutes less Darkmoon Faire than everybody else. What's up, guys? Thank you for watching that breakdown of Progress. Thank you to all of the Progress players that were there in the stream with us as we were doing it live. I'm sorry that I'm getting this up a few days late. My internet did go out on Naxx launch day for the entire day. It was actually pretty rough, in all honesty. But other than that, guys, I will be covering all of the Naxx speedruns, and there will be a new, possibly 2 episodes of speedrun news this week. So make sure to like and subscribe and follow the channel, and let me know what you want to see next in the comments. Peace.